What's up, everyone? Welcome to the next episode of the PR Fit Podcast. I am your host, as always, Ricky Perez. Thank you for joining me. For those of you that might be new to the podcast, again, my name is Ricky. I am the founder of PR Fitness Training. We are one of the fastest growing online fitness coaching companies. And I make all this content. I put this podcast together, Instagram, Facebook, any content that you see me put out is with the sole purpose of helping you work smarter and not harder in fitness. It is hard enough, working out, eating correctly, those things are hard. So we need to make sure we are doing them correctly, because if not, you get in the danger zone, which I always harp about if you know me and my content, the danger zone of just spinning our tires, working harder, not smarter. And that is an absolutely miserable place to be. You don't want to be working out hard, thinking you're eating healthy and not getting results. We don't want to do that. Again, it's a miserable place, and I make all this content to help you navigate around that with the sole purpose of getting to your fitness goals. Okay, that's what we're all about here at PR Fitness Training. So again, welcome to the podcast. I'm doing a little new thing. This is going to go on YouTube. Okay, so this will go on my YouTube. If you want to watch the video version of it, I will have it up on there. Also, I'm going to try to keep these, I'm going to do my best to keep these 20 minutes or shorter. Okay. Then you can dive in, you can get some good information, and then you can move on to the next one or go back through it. I just feel like, even for myself personally, with podcasts that I listen to, when it's an hour plus long, I get through like 30 minutes of it and my brain just starts like wandering off and I got to rewind and I can't figure it out. So, moral of the story, I'm going to try to keep these short, 20 minutes max, and let's just hammer through some great information and hopefully you learn something today. So, today's podcast is about the body metrics, okay? Specifically, the body metrics that you should be monitoring along your fitness journey, okay? There's a lot of metrics. I'm gonna basically tell you the metrics that you need to be monitoring and why they're important. And I'm gonna tell you specifically the one metric that we do not care about, okay? These metrics are what I use with my clients to help us keep track of our progress moving forward. You gotta have metrics to monitor to see, how we're doing. The biggest thing with me, and especially as, with my coaching company in general, is I always say we have to have data, okay? We have to have data to refer back to. We gotta get rid of this guessing, whether it's from a training standpoint, whether it's from a nutrition standpoint, but we need data to refer back to see how the journey is going, and more importantly, to understand what needs to be tweaked if we're not seeing results, okay? And again, if we're just guessing and not keeping track of data, or not doing, not training correctly, not eating correctly, but we aren't tracking any of that, then it makes it very difficult to understand what needs to be changed to get to our goal, okay? So let's go through the body metrics that you should be monitoring along your fitness progress, or along your fitness journey, especially if you have a serious goal, especially if you have a weight loss goal, okay? So let me take you through. There's going to be 3 metrics that we are going to want to track along our fitness journey, and then there's going to be one specifically that we do not care about. So do not get too caught up with this metric. I'll go over that towards the end. If you hear some snores or some oinks, Wince, my French Bulldog, is sitting right at my feet, and he's sleeping, so I'm sorry about that. So let's go through them here. Body metrics. I'm going to go over the first 3 that you should be monitoring first, and then I'll talk about the one at the end. And I want to kind of give you, I want you to understand the big picture of this, okay? The big picture is there is not one metric that is going to that's going to paint the entire story for you, okay? What I mean by that is there's not, even these first 3 I go over, if you only keep track of one of them, it's not going to give you the whole story. It's not going to be like, the end all be all. The point of this podcast is for you to understand that, okay, you need to use these 3 metrics, and when you keep track of these 3 metrics that I'm about to go over, it's going to paint the entire story of how we are progressing or how we're not progressing. But it's going to give you very detailed information on what needs to be done, okay? The first metric that we need to track, okay, and sometimes controversial, but the first metric that we need to track is your body weight, okay? I hear all the time, sometimes you guys might take my information out of context and think, oh, body weight's not important. body weight is important to track, but let's understand how to do it correctly, okay? If you are someone with a weight loss goal, maybe you're someone that has a lot of body weight to lose, your body weight should be coming down, okay? Let's clarify that first. If you're someone that's obese, you're someone that has 10, 20, 30 plus pounds to lose, your body weight should be decreasing over time, okay? Now, the common misconception I get with this is if I'm talking to someone that's, 30, 40 pounds overweight, and they're saying, usually they're explaining what they're doing to me or what they've been doing in the past. And I'll be like, okay, so how, what's the weight look like as the weight come down? And people get this confused. They'll be like, no, the weight hasn't come down at all, but I think it's because I'm gaining muscle mass. So it's just evening out, okay? Let me be very clear about who that applies to and who that does not apply to. If you're someone that has a lot of body weight to lose, and I'm going to say 10 plus pounds to lose, your weight should be coming down, even if we're gaining muscle mass, okay? So especially if you're someone that's 30 pounds overweight and you're like, oh no, it's just being replaced by muscle, it's not, okay? It means you're not correctly in a calorie deficit, which is, I make a bunch of videos on that. But what I want you to understand is if you're someone that's in that boat where you're like, hey, I have kind of a lot of weight to lose and you're kind of staying stagnant, you're not losing weight, you're not losing body fat, you're not losing weight. That's what I want you to understand. That would apply to someone who probably doesn't really have any weight to lose. Maybe there's someone that hasn't been lifting a lot. Maybe there's someone that's they're not underweight, they're not overweight. They just need to shift a change in their body composition, which I'll talk about more in this podcast. But in that scenario with someone who has low body fat percentage and they're just trying to look leaner in the mirror, they might not lose weight, okay, but they're going to be progressing, okay? Now, if you're someone that's overweight, that does not apply to you, okay? Your weight should be coming down. So the reason why your body weight is important to track is, again, that weight should be coming down over time, and it's important that we monitor it, because what I try to avoid especially with my clients, is we want to, this is kind of everyone's personal preference. Some people get freaked out with body weight, some people could care less. If you're someone that gets freaked out and this stresses you out weighing yourself, I would still suggest weighing yourself. I don't think it is a good idea to just completely avoid the scale and not weigh yourself. Because again, we need data to refer back to. So if you're someone that freaks you out, I would suggest weighing yourself a minimum of once every 2 weeks. Okay, that might sound like a lot to you. Maybe it doesn't sound like a lot to you, but at least once every 2 weeks. Then you can get 2 weights per month type deal. But the problem with just never weighing yourself at all is if say you weigh yourself today and you don't weigh yourself for 3 months, in my opinion, it's even more detrimental to step on that scale 90 days from now and be the same weight. That's way harder on you mentally than it is to do it every 2 weeks. The other thing is we need to know if we're not losing weight, we need to know that before 90 days goes by, okay? If we're weighing ourselves once every 2 weeks, by the end of the first month, if nothing's changed, then we can make changes, and we need to make changes sooner than later. If you wait 90 days before you weigh yourself again, it just kind of adds to the stress, in my opinion. But just understand that you need data to refer back to, so don't, in my opinion, do not wait long periods of time of weighing yourself. Now, if you're someone that does, that's not overly stressed out by weighing themselves, then, I have some clients that will weigh themselves every single day. I have clients that will weigh themselves once a week. I personally weigh myself, probably once every 10 days. But, let me kind of touch on the second layer of this is your body weight is going to fluctuate. And the reason why we cannot just operate off of body weight is because of that. There's going to be fluctuations, based on what we ate that day, based on how much we drank that day. Maybe we're dehydrated. In the morning, you're going to wake up. You're going to tend to be lighter in the morning because we're dehydrated. You weigh yourself, 7 hours later after we had 2 meals and we've been drinking water, we might be 3 pounds heavier. What you need to understand, and which I want you to take from this podcast, is If you weigh yourself in the morning, say you're 160, you weigh yourself in the afternoon, you're 165. For a lot of people, that is like a huge mental, burden on them. And what I want you to understand is that's just normal fluctuation, okay? You did not gain 5 pounds of body fat over the past 6 hours, okay? It'd be foolish to get overly stressed out about that because you did not gain body fat over the last 5 hours. In the same way that if you weighed yourself and you're 165 and you went and got in the sauna and you did a short workout and you weighed yourself and now you're 160, it would be foolish to think that you burned 5 pounds of body fat over the course of that hour and a half long workout, okay? You didn't. So understand how to correctly use body weight and how you should be operating. And how you should be operating is weigh yourself every 2 weeks, keep track of it in MyFitnessPal. I have my clients keep track of it in the PR Fitness app. And then we just have data to refer back to over time. A lot of times for people who are on their weight loss journey, a lot of times it is not going to be linear. Sometimes it is. Okay, I don't want to rule it out completely. Sometimes that weight does just drop straight down. But most of the time it's going to be up, it's going to be down, it's going to be up, it's going to be down. But most important thing is, where is it trending? It should always be trending down. You might be 165, 162, 164, 163, 167, 162, whatever it might be. But that trend, as we get more data points, should be trending in the right direction, which if you have a weight loss goal, that's trending down, obviously. Okay, so the important thing with this first metric is learn how to correctly use it. Don't get overstressed out. Understand that if your weight is going to fluctuate, okay? If you gained 5 pounds in a day, you did not gain 5 pounds of body fat. So, just don't think like that. Don't let it be a burden on your mind like that. Vice versa, if you lost 5 pounds in a day, you actually didn't lose 5 pounds of body fat. Now, what I want you to understand with this is body weight, again, is not the end-all, be-all, okay? How do we correctly use it? We correctly use it by understanding that if you have a weight loss goal, and I tell clients this all the time, I tell prospects this all the time, if your goal is to lose weight, your goal is not solely to lose weight. Your goal is to lose weight by changing your body composition, and your body composition is what makes up your body weight, okay? Now, the example I always use to drive this home is if I talk to somebody and they're like, Ricky, I want to lose 10 pounds. I say, okay, great. What we need to understand is our goal of losing 10 pounds is not just to see 10 less pounds on the scale, okay? Our goal is to change our body composition. And to drive this home is if you want to lose 10 pounds and you went and just jumped in the sauna, okay, say you sat in the sauna for 3 hours, you got out, you got on the scale, you went from 165 to 155. Is your goal accomplished now? I mean, just think, take a second and think about that. Have you accomplished your goal from losing 10 pounds? On paper, on the scale, yes. Now, did you actually? No, okay? And again, this is where body composition comes into play because how we lose weight matters. We want to lose body fat. We want to maintain and gain muscle mass along the way because it's not just solely on the weight on the scale, and that's what I'm really trying to drive home to you right now, okay? So first body metric that we're going to track is weight. Use it correctly. Don't over-obsess on it, but we do need to get weight periodically. The second metric that you need to be tracking along your journey is going to be your body fat percentage, okay? And this is where it gets a little bit confusing, but let me do my best to explain this for you. So we're keeping track of our body weight. A lot of scales are going to give you a body weight. Obviously, it's going to give you your weight in pounds, and it's going to give you a body fat percentage. Now, before we freak out, before you say, Ricky, people tell me all the time, body fat percentage scales, they're BS, whatever, they're inaccurate, whatever. Hear me out on this, okay? I have my clients track their body fat percentage, and this is, in my opinion, the most ideal way to do it. Get yourself a scale. You can get a cheap scale off of Amazon, okay? I can tag one of the scales in the notes below. I believe I have like a Weight Watcher scale off Amazon. I don't know what it is, but the point is, get yourself a scale that does body fat percentage and use that scale for every single one of your weigh-ins. Now, I explain this a lot to people. I have a scale here at my house. You stand on it obviously with your feet, and it's going to give you an electrical impedance. It's going to guess your body fat percentage. It has my body fat percentage around 16%. Am I 16% body fat? I'm not 100% sure. I would think I'm probably a little bit below that. Maybe I am 16%. Regardless, this is what's not important. If it is inaccurate, it is always going to be consistently inaccurate. And what I mean by that is when I get on that scale, okay, say it says I'm 16% body fat. Say I get on it tomorrow. It's not going to say I'm 26% body fat. It's not going to say I'm 9% body fat. I'm still going to be around 16%. Now, what I've noticed for myself and for everyone that I've had track their body fat percentages, as we lose weight, as we progress closer to our goal, that number is going to come down. Okay, so if I get on there 3 weeks from now, I'm eating a calorie deficit, I'm noticeably leaner, I'm going to get on that scale, it's going to say I'm 12.5%. Okay, point is, don't get overly obsessed with the number on the scale, but understand that it's going to be accurate. And as you lose body fat, the number is going to come down. Okay, you're not going to get on there. It's not going to wildly fluctuate like your body weight fluctuates, is what I'm trying to say. So as we're losing body fat, that number will come down. Now, it's important that you use the same one every single time, because if you don't, then you're going to get very different readings. And what I mean by that is I've used my scale. Again, I'm standing on it. It says I'm 16%. I've used hand scales in the past, and the hand scale has told me that I'm like 9%. When the scale that I stand on, where it's taking it through my feet, tells me I'm like 14%. Okay, so we don't want to run into that problem where it's like, okay, I weighed myself and I'm 14, then I use a different scale, it says I'm 9. What is it? Use the same one. Okay, use the same one and use it consistently. And I promise you, it's going to be as accurate as you can get it. Okay, don't overthink this stuff. Now, why do we even want to keep track of our body fat percentage? We want to keep track of our body fat percentage because it's important to know how much of our body weight is made up of fat. And again, this all comes back to us monitoring our body composition as a whole. I'm going to say it a million times in this podcast. We want less body fat. We want more muscle mass. That's what's going to allow you to look leaner, look stronger, look more desirable in the mirror. That's the look that you're going for. Okay? So we have our weight. Okay, we have our weight in pounds, which I just talked about. Now we have our body fat percentage that we can take into consideration. Again, if you're someone that has a weight loss goal, you have 10, 20, 30 pounds to lose, your your weight should be coming down. Your body fat percentage should as well be coming down. Okay? Now, I'm just going to give rough numbers here. Like, don't freak out if you're close or not close to these. Everyone is different, kind of depends on their goal. A good number to, the normal, quote unquote, normal range for a male is around like 18% body fat. The quote unquote normal range for a female is around 20% body fat. Now, don't freak out if you're there or you're not there, whatever. These are just like general metrics to aim for. But what's important is our body fat trending downward, okay? So there will be slight differences in male versus female, okay? Obviously, let's just think about it. Females naturally have more body fat on their body, okay? So, if you're a female, don't freak out, if you're like 22%, 24%, whatever it is. Obviously, females have boobs, guys don't have boobs, so they're gonna hold more body fat. Which is why the normal range for females is like 20, the normal range for guys is like 18, okay? Regardless, what I want you to understand through listening to this podcast is we want to monitor our weight in pounds and we want to monitor our body fat, okay? Now we have kind of two layers to the story. We're seeing what our weight is, we're seeing what our body fat percentage is. Again, if we have a lot of muscle or we have a lot of body fat to lose, both of those numbers should be coming down. So those are two. The third one that I'm going to wrap up here with is the third metric that we need to also consider is probably in my opinion, the most important one because it's the most telling, and that is progress pictures, okay? Everyone hates to take progress pictures. I get it. Okay, especially if you don't feel great about yourself, you don't want to document the picture in the mirror. Okay, I promise you, your future self will thank you if you take a progress picture because you're going to vastly see the difference. Now, this, again, not any one of these tells the entire story, but if I was going to just choose one, progress pictures would be the one. Okay, a lot of times I've seen this in many instances where with clients, we get through week 2, 3, whatever it is, we step on the scale. Oh, Ricky, I'm only down 2 pounds. Okay, cool. What's the body fat percentage? Body fat percentage is, down 1%. Okay, cool. There's 2 metrics. Did we update our before and after pictures? Yeah, I'll update the pictures. We update the pictures, and I'm like, yo, there's a night and day difference between these 2 pictures. And then you put them side by side for them, and they're like, oh, wow, yeah, I definitely look way leaner. And that is just the beauty of having more data, and especially by taking taking progress pictures. Okay, take them in good lighting. I suggest taking a front view, side view, and back view. Okay, it's going to give you a good depiction of what your body is looking like and how your body has changed. I'm not joking. There's just tons of scenarios with clients, whether it was good news, whether they thought they were doing great, whether they thought they were doing bad, where we plug in those progress pictures and it starts showing the bigger picture, and we're like, wow, we're making some good progress here. Okay, the most famous, I don't know if that's whatever. A great example is the before and after pictures I have on our website at trainprfitness.com. I recently uploaded Adam's before and after pictures, and he went through my entire online coaching program. The big thing I wanted to highlight about his pictures they're very drastic. Okay, there's a big change in how he looks in the mirror. I mean, he is super lean on the after picture compared to the first one. Now, if you only, the difference between those 2 pictures, a lot of people would think is like, that's definitely 20 plus pounds of weight change. At the end of the day, that was 8 pounds. Okay, so in Adam's mind, if he was doing this on his own and he just used the weight, 8 pounds is not shabby at all. Like, that's a good amount of weight. But, he might be like, oh, I only lost like 8 pounds. When you put them all together and we see that he lost 8 pounds and his body fat percentage went down, and then on top of that, the biggest, thing that really nailed it home is like, dude, look how drastically different you look in the mirror. That is what I'm trying to get through to you on this podcast here. When you line up the body weight, the body fat percentage, and then you take those before and after pictures, it's going to paint as close to the full picture as we can get, okay? And, again, he looked a night and day difference in the mirror. You could tell that he had lost a lot of body fat. He had gained muscle mass. And he, it played out to be 8 pounds on the scale. It played out to be a couple percentage points in body fat percentage. But most importantly, again, most of us are just working to look better in the mirror. Everyone wants to just look better naked. So most importantly, when he looked at those before and after pictures, it was like, dude, you look like a completely different person. And that's what most of us are out to accomplish. 9 out of 10 people listening to this podcast right now, that's probably your goal. Is like, hey, I just want to change how I look in the mirror. Okay, so I hope this made sense to you. Again, number 1 is let's track our body weight. You should be doing it, as often as you're able to. If you don't like doing it, I would recommend at least twice per month. Check your body weight. Okay. Number 2, we need to be checking our body fat percentage, and number 3, we need to be taking before and after pictures or progress pictures in the mirror. Now, why are we doing all 3 of those? We're doing all 3 of those because we want to see. That gives us the best picture of our body composition, okay? And I'm going to keep harping on this. Your body composition is what makes up your weight on the scale, okay? So we need less body fat percentage and to maintain or gain more muscle mass, okay? That is what the driving force is to making you look different in the mirror, is going to be your body composition. Now, I've done this on, I'll save this for a different podcast. I talk about this all the time about how you can actually change your body fat percentage. I'm just going to highlight it here so you understand this podcast. If you're someone that wants to change their body fat percentage or body fat let me rewind. If you're someone that wants to drastically change their body composition, okay? The 3 things you really need to get locked in, you really need to start doing right away is lifting weights, because this is going to help you gain muscle mass and burn body fat. It's locking in a correct nutrition breakdown for your goals, okay? You need to be eating correctly, okay? And then number 3, you need to be using cardio correctly as a tool, okay? This is basically what I've built my business around, is helping people understand how you need to train your body to look how you want, how you need to eat to look how you want, and then how you need to use cardio to look exactly how you want, okay? Think of these 3 things as being like a 3-legged stool. If you do not have one of those locked in, the stool falls over, progress is either slow or does not happen because you don't have them all locked in. So that's why I'm kind of vocalizing these metrics to you, because the overarching theme of this is for you to understand that, hey, in order for me to get to my goal, in order for me to look better in the mirror, I need to change my body composition, which consists of lifting weights, eating the correct nutrition breakdown, and using cardio correctly as a tool to get to where I want to be, okay? So those were the 3 metrics that you should be tracking. Ricky, what's the one metric that I should not be tracking? Let me go over it real quickly. That one metric is your BMI, your body mass index. It drives me absolutely insane that companies still use this as, I have a good friend, who is jacked. He's in really good shape. Carl, he's probably not listening to this, but it's okay. This was way back in the day, like when we were in college. He was working for Spectrum. And if you guys know Carl's in really good shape. Okay, Carl's jacked out of his mind. He did not get a bonus at work because he was considered obese. Why was he considered obese? Because BMI, the only premise of BMI is how tall are you and how much do you weigh. Based on those 2 metrics, they give you a score. You're either obese, you're either normal weight, or you're underweight, okay? It is so inaccurate and has nothing to do with your body composition, body composition has everything to do with anything fitness related. BMI does not take body composition into effect at all. But moral story is he was considered obese and did not get his bonus from Spectrum. And I'm willing to bet that he was probably the most in shape person in his workplace, okay? Now, situations like that are very few and far between. Obviously people are not failing their BMI tests because they're too jacked very often. But I just want to highlight that point because that's the reason why BMI is just basically useless, okay? We don't, again, hopefully you understand, we don't necessarily only care about our weight. We care about what's our weight, what's our body fat percentage, and then how do we visibly look in the mirror, okay? Do we have less body fat? Do we have more muscle mass? Are we looking closer to how we want to look in the mirror? That's what I'm trying to drive home to you in this podcast, okay? So, again, track your weight, track your body fat percentage, and take those before and after pictures. Timeline on before and after pictures, I would take them, once a month maybe, or take them whenever you take your weight or body fat. But it really will give you the full details of like how you are progressing in your fitness journey. So I hope this podcast helped you. Again, if you have any questions on any of this, you can reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is at rickyperez.fit. But yeah, again, if you have any questions with any of this, this is what my company does. This is what I specialize in. So if you're someone that's like, hey, Ricky, I understand these metrics, but I really want to get myself locked in, shoot me a DM on Instagram and I will help, I can kind of talk you through the process of how my online coaching works. But basically we get all this dialed in for you. You get yourself a training program, you get yourself a nutrition breakdown. I hold you accountable, teach you how to successfully navigate the process, and we get you to your goal in a very fast amount of time, okay? Thank you guys again for listening to this podcast. If you have any questions, you can put them down below. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next podcast. Peace out. Thank you for watching.